All right, so welcome to lesson 3.3, slope in the first quadrant. So I want you to look at these ramps in number 1 and compare the two. Which ramp do you think would make a motorcycle, skateboard, bicycle, doesn't matter, jump higher? Well, hopefully you look at the two ramps and you see that they're both the same length along the bottom, 8. But one is clearly higher than the other, right? One is 7 feet high, the other one is 3 feet high. And so if a motorcycle or anything jumps off both of these, we would expect that A would cause them to jump higher. We're talking higher, not longer. Okay. Now the tougher one is 2. Compare the two ramps in number 2 and see which one you think will jump higher. Now, this one, I think if you jumped off that, you do sort of that, right? But if you jumped off this one, you might get a little hop as long as you got up that ramp. You might hop up there a little bit, and so I think it's B. Right? But that's not really the point of this lesson. What the point of this lesson is that both these dimensions, these ones at the bottom, the heights were the same, but the lengths were different. In the top ones, the lengths along the bottom were the same and the heights were different, but these have special names. This distance up on the ramp is called the rise. And we're going to have some vocabulary today. And this distance along the bottom is called the run. And when we make those into a fraction or compare them, we get a concept called slope. And we would say the slope of this ramp is 7/8. And we'd say the slope of this ramp is 3/8. You literally take the rise and put it over the run. So we're going to be doing ramps at first, but we're going to then find the slope of rays. This is a ray because there's no arrow on the end making it a line. And to find the slope of a ray, you're going to draw a ramp underneath it. Hopefully you see a right triangle there, and you'll find the height of that ramp, the rise of it, and the run of that ramp, and you will find the slope. All right, so let's start with the ramps. So this side of the ramp, it's not just the length. The rise has a direction. The word rise means up. How much does that go up is the rise. And along the bottom, it's not just the length of the bottom, it's how much it goes in this direction. The run has a direction to the right. The run is always to the right. And we say that the slope of this ramp, and that's how much it tilts up, is the rise over the run, or rise over run. And please copy that down because every teacher is going to say it that way. The slope is the rise over the run. So let's find our first slope. So this ramp goes straight up, and you're going to copy these ramps. And when you copy them, they're right triangles. There's a 90-degree angle there, right? And the rise here is 2. The run along the bottom, right? You run along the ground is 7. And so we call the slope here the rise over the run. And we say the slope of this ramp is 2/7. All right, so find the slope of that one. Well, it rises up 8. The run along the ground is 5. And so the slope is the rise over the run, 8/5. Now do not change this to 1 3/5, right? We don't want to make that a mixed number. And the reason, we want to see this 8 when we say the slope. We want to see the 5. We don't want things, 1 3/5 would hide the 8 from us, and we don't want that. So you never make the mixed numbers, ever. All right, so what's the slope here? Same idea. The rise is 5, the run is 3, the slope is 5/3. So notice, what's the smallest slope here? The smallest, or what's the smallest number here? The smallest number is 2/7, and that's the flattest ramp. These two, right, this one's 1 2/3, which would be 1.6 repeating, and this is 1 3/5, which would be 1.6. Notice these are very close, right? Oops, that's not pretty, right? These two ramps are very close because they have very similar slopes, very close to each other. and they have bigger numbers, 1.6 and 1.6 repeating, much bigger than 2/7. The bigger the slope, the more this arrow points straight up. Okay, so let's find the slope here. Now, it is not 2/6. Why is the slope not 2/6? Because you always have to simplify your fractions, and so the slope here is 1/3. Well, what does that mean? Let's say I have a ramp that's 2 feet high and 6 feet long, and I take another one that's 1 foot high and 3 feet long. Do the top of those ramps perfectly line up? Yes, because they have the same slope. A ramp that's 2 by 6 compared to 1 by 3, the ratio of the sides is the same, and the slope of those ramps is the same. So let's try 4/12. Well, the slope of that is not 4/12, right? It is also 1/3. Does that mean this one will line up with these that had the slope of 1/3? Yes, it does. So there's the one that was 2 high and 6, and here's the one that's 1 and 3, and all of them line up. They all have a slope of 1/3. Let's try this one. Right? It's 9/6, but we have to simplify our fraction, and we get 3/2, right? So does that mean it would line up with one that's a rise of 3 and a run of 2? Yes, it does. Let me draw a little bit better here. And let's try this one. 18/12 also simplifies to 3/2, so this one better line up with the last two as well. Now also notice, which's bigger, 3/2, 1.5, or 1/3? 3/2 is way bigger, right? And hence, these ramps point more up to the sky. Now, some of you who are skateboarders are going, that I would never use as a ramp to jump off. And you're right. All right, there is basically slopes greater than 1, right? So if you have, say, the rise is 7 and the run is 7, right? That would have a slope of 1. That's about as high a ramp as you want. Once you get these improper fraction slopes, they're not really good as jump ramps, okay? Because it's too tough to get up them, all right? Typically the ramps you jump off, and now they're curved, right? They used to be straight like this, right? Now if you're a skateboarder, they do that. But typically you want slopes of less than 1 or 1 when you're building your own ramps. Okay, so we're not doing ramps, we're doing lines, segments, and rays. So how do you do that? So for those of you who don't have the printout, you're going to have to make a little sketch. And I want everyone to put a dot at 0, 0. And then I want you to find the point 3, 2, right there. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. And then the sketch people are going to have to draw their ray right through 3, 2, like that. Okay, so now we're going to draw a ramp underneath this ray. How do we do that? Start at 3, 2, and I want you to go straight down. And when you get even with the point, the last point that I made, you go straight over to it. And when you've done that, you should have made a right triangle, right? You go straight down till you're even with the last point, which in this case is 0, 0, and you've got a right triangle. Now I want you to find the rise and the run of that right triangle. And I would encourage you not to use these numbers over here. I'd encourage you to count boxes. So the rise is 2 boxes. The run is 3 boxes. And so the slope of this ramp is 2/3. And the slope of the ray on top of it is also 2/3. Okay? I'm going to, 2/3. All right, so let's do this next one. All right, so same thing here. I want you to make a point at 0, 0. Now they're not all going to start at 0, 0, just the ones at the beginning of the lesson start at 0, 0. And then I want you to go to the point 1, 4. So 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, and sketch people, you're drawing a sketch like that. And once again, I want you to go straight down from this point, the higher point, until you get even with the lower point, and then go straight over. And hopefully you've made another right triangle, another jump ramp. Find the rise and the run of that. Well, the rise, 1, 2, 3, 4. The rise is 4. The run is 1. And so the slope is not 4 over 1, right? We always simplify our fractions, so the slope of that is 4. Now, how did I choose 0, 0 and these good intersections? It's not random, and we're going to go over that on the very next screen. So when I was going along the ray, I was looking along there to see if I had hit an intersection well, right? On a road, when two roads cross, they make an intersection. We're looking for right there. We're looking for where our ray hits an intersection. That's where we can draw the vertices of our right triangle, our ramp. Now later in the class, we'll have ones that go down, right? That's a good intersection. Here we're missing. So we're now going to go back to 4 and 5 and see that again. All right, so I can't go back in my videos, so I've had to go make a duplicate one. So here's 4 and 5. Okay, and so there's the ones we started with. Now I want you to go along here in number 4, back on number 4 that you made, and see what else you think is a good intersection. There are 2 more good intersections. So that's no good, that's no good. Oh, that looks good. That's no good, that's no, yep, that's not perfect on mine, but that is also a good intersection. Now notice the 4 good intersections that we found. They're equally spaced in a pattern. That will always be the case. That's why when I'm going to talk about this, when you have to get your intersections, do more than just 2. You only need 2 to do the answer. But sometimes things look really close, especially when they get smaller and you're not sure. All right. So you want to have a bunch of good intersections. Now, I want you to go up here. This is what, 9, 6. And you're going to go down. And then just go straight over to the next one. Don't go all the way down to 0, 0. Don't come down here, right? Go down until you're even with the next intersection. You could also do it here. You go down until you're even with the next intersection, right? The rise here is 2. The run here is 3. And the slope is 2/3, no matter where you do it along this line. Right? It's 2/3 there as well. It was 2/3 there on the first time we did it. All right, so 0, 0 was good. We had 1, 4. So now I want you to find there was one more good intersection along there. So if you're making your sketch, you already have 1, 0, 0, and the 1, 2, 3, 4. So now where's the next good intersection on the screen? All right, well, it looks like it's at 2, 8. So, right, so 5, 6, 7, 8, right, and you have that. And so now I want you to find the slope right here. Right? And you should get the exact same answer, right? The rise is 4, the run is 1, the slope is still 4. 4 over 1 simplifies to 4. Now, if you pick 2 intersections that are right in a row, you will get your slope right away. But what happens if, say you did this, and I usually get a student who does this by accident, what if they went from 8 all the way, missed this one, didn't see it, right? And went all the way down here like that. Well, they would get a rise of 8 and a run of 2. But they could never leave it at 8 halves. They would have to simplify. So you would get the same slope. And this will happen to all of us. If you miss an intersection, you will have to simplify your slope. But you still get the right answer, right? If you'd missed this intersection and gone here, didn't see it, and went over here, you'd get a rise of 4 and a run of 6. But 4, 6 simplifies to 2/3. All right, so let's try one. All right, so 0, 0 is a good intersection, and I want you to find 2 more good intersections along that. Now, if you're following along, some of these have more than one ray on the picture. I will show the next one in a second. So there's 4, 3 is a good intersection. Yeah, that's a miss, that's a miss. That's really close, but it's a miss. Now, that's a miss, that's a miss, that's a miss, and that's good. Now notice, you're sure that you've done it right because you have an equally spaced pattern of dots, right? There, so that's good. Now draw in between any two of them, draw your ramp. So just to be different than we started, I'm going to go straight down and then straight over to that one. Right? The rise is 3. The run is 4. So for the sketch people, we had one at 0, 0. We had one at 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Right there. We had one at 8, 6. 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 5, 6, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right? And they all in a row like that, and you're going like that, and it's 3 and 4, and the slope here is 3/4. All right, so try that one. So 0, 0 was good. Next one I see is 2, 5. Then, right, that looks pretty close, but it's not, right, because it wouldn't make a pattern. All right, and so there it is. And again, you can do it anywhere you want as long as you pick 2 good intersections. So the rise here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The run is 2, and the slope of that is 5/2, right? 5/2 is 2.5, right? 2.5 is way bigger than 3/4, right? The bigger the number, the more the arrow points straight up to the ceiling, okay? Lower the number, the flatter the slope is, the slower the arrow points. All right, so let's try that one. Now, this is where we find out who really understands, because we're not starting at 0, 0. But 0, 4 is a good intersection. Now, there's 2 more good ones. Find them. So there's an intersection here at 2, 7, and then there's another intersection at 4, 10. So the rise, I'm going to go straight down until I'm even there, and now I've got my right triangle. The rise is 3, the run is 2, the slope of that is 3/2. I have a feeling the next one's going to be in the way of that, so I'm going to write it up here. Slope equals 3/2. All right, so this one starts at 0, 2. Let's find some good intersections. There's one there, there's one there, and that one, I didn't draw it perfectly, but it must be there because that's the pattern. So I'm going to do it just between these two, down straight and then even there. The rise here is 1, the run is 3, so the slope of that is 1/3. 1/3 is smaller than 3/2. This is more flat, this ray. All right, so this word horizontal, you have to know. That is a horizontal ray. The floor of your house hopefully is horizontal, flat, okay? So this is a horizontal ray, and it has a slope of 0, right? That's what 0 looks like. Now let's see how that is. What does the word rise mean? It means how much does it go up? This does not go up 9 because it starts at 9, right? And it never goes up, right? It never goes up. Its rise is 0. So please write that. The rise is 0. Now the run, I could have drawn it 1 long. I drew it 7 long. 0 over 1, 0 over 7 has the same answer, 0. The slope of that horizontal ray, and all horizontal rays and lines, the slope is 0. Now, so when they go up, it's positive. When here, it's 0. What happens when they point down? What's the slope going to be? Well, you can see it in your notes, but also hopefully I want you to start with that one. The slope of this is going to be negative. Let's figure out why. All right, first, let's find our good intersections. There's one at 0, 9, and there's only one other good intersection. Find it. So it's here, right at 1, 3. Now, what's the rule to draw the triangle? You start at the upper one, you go straight down, and when you get even with that, you go straight over. Now, what's going to happen here on the negative ones, right? The right triangle is going to face the other way. This is a landing ramp now. It's not a jump ramp anymore when it's negative. Now tell me what the rise is here. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's 6 boxes long. But what does the word rise mean? It means how much it's going up. How much is it going up? It's not going up 6. It's going down 6. So what's the rise? The rise of this is -6. Hopefully everyone was saying that to themselves, right? Because you're going down. That's why you say the word rise. It's not the length. It's not how long it is. It has a direction. And when they're pointing down, you're going to get a negative rise. Now the run will always be a positive number, always. So the run here is +1, -6/1 is -6. It's the change in the rise that makes it negative. All right, so try the other one on that screen. Right there. I'm going to do it right here just so I don't get confused with the other ones. So the rise here, it's going down 1. The rise is -1. The run is always to the right. You're always going to be running to the right. We never go back this way, ever. And so the run here is 4. So it's rise over 1, run, right? And so you can put the negative up top or you can put it in front, but this is a slope of -1/4. What are flat lines? They're flat rays. They're called horizontal and their slope is 0. When you're pointing down below flat, your slopes are negative. Okay, now this is called a vertical line. All right, when you jump straight up, you're jumping vertically. All right, and the slope of that is not 0. And let's see why that is. All right, now let's look at the rise and the run here. It starts at 9, but it never runs anywhere. It stays at 9 the whole time. Right? So the run is not 9. The run is 0. Right? It never goes anywhere. Now the rise, you can make it, I could have done 1 box. I did more than 10. It doesn't matter. You're not allowed to ever have 0 in a denominator, but I just did that. Right? But when you have 0 in a denominator, the answer is always the same, not just for slope. The answer is undefined. We cannot have 0 in a denominator. It is not allowed. You can't divide by 0. You can't have 0 out here for division. 0 into 7 does not go in 0 times, doesn't go in 7 times. It goes an infinite amount of times, right? If you have a 7-gallon bucket and you try to put nothing in there, you can put nothing in there forever, right? Now, we could say the slope was infinite, but we don't. We say it's undefined. Okay, so vertical lines, the slope is undefined. And it's because you can't divide by 0. You can't have 0 in the denominator. Okay. All right, so we're practicing find the slope. So notice this is a special one. Every intersection is good. And whether you do 1 over 1 or 2 over 2, right, it doesn't matter. The slope there is 1. The slope of that one. And so the slope of 1, right, goes right down the middle from 0, 0, right to that corner, right down the middle of the grid. You'll see that one a lot. All right, try that one up there. So that's a near miss, and you know that if you've gotten 3 of them, right? Because if you thought this was good at 4, then it better hit at 8, but it doesn't hit at 8, and so you can see that that's not the pattern, right? So that's why you do more than just 2. You need 2 to do the answer, but you want more than 2 so you can see the pattern. The rise there is 1, the run is 5. Right? The slope of that is 1/5. Please be careful. That's what, these ones that don't start at 0, 0 is why you don't use these numbers. You count boxes. All right, so these are both pointing down. This one goes down 2 and over 1, right? The arrow's pointing down. Slope is -2. This one over here is down 1 and over 2. It's a slope of -1/2. So they're both down, right? They're both pointing down. They're both negative, but one is going down 2 and over 1, and one's going down 1 and over 2. And so you get reciprocal slopes.